All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. As always, I am absolutely thrilled that you are here. If you have never checked out the Billy D's podcast before, we are primarily a commentary and an interview podcast. You can find the Billy D's podcast pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. And today, on this studio line, I have Donika Gunther, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I meant to ask you that before. Donika, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Billy, and my name is Donika Gunther.
All right, that is awesome. Now, Donika was born in Albania and grew up with 5 siblings and 2 wonderful parents. She's now in the United States, and you have 1 daughter. Is that right?
Correct.
How old is your daughter?
My daughter, Christina, is 22, and she's going to be 23 in July.
All right. Yeah. So she's well into adulthood. As far back as Donika can remember, she has had a lifelong desire to help others and assist them in leading happy, successful, and worry-free lives. Boy, don't we all want that? I wish I could say I'm worry-free, but I'm a worrywart. She has a degree in biology and chemistry, and chemistry's tough. I took that, and has worked as a teacher for the past 30 years, and as a mentor, motivational, and international speaker for the last 13 years. That's awesome. After discovering the power that meditation, yoga, and mindfulness have for improving health and wellness, Donika decided to make her 13 years of experience in these studies and take them and put them into a career because she's really passionate about that. Mindfulness with a Purpose was created in part due to Donika's aspirations of making positive change in the lives of children by providing higher education, confidence, and self-worth. Okay, there's a lot to talk about. That's quite the resume. I'm interested. Tell me a little bit about Albania. Now, Albania is, I'm going to say, let's see, that would be northwest of Greece. Is that correct? Is that about right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me what living and growing up and being from Albania was like.
Well, I'll start with the good things first.
Okay.
Being in Albania was what I got from there. We lived almost in the same level economically because it wasn't much. It was communist country. So people were like no rich, was a lot of poverty, and was a communist dictator. But it brought us close because it was no much, but it was so much friendship, closeness with each other. And, was not comparison or having that ego, like, oh, I have more than you. It was like, I am who I am, love me as I am. And we supported each other. Like my house was everybody's house. The neighbor's house was everybody's house. So it was good. The only thing was no freedom to speak, to make your own choices. We're like soldiers, most of the time. We have to do what was said.
Well, how old were you when you left there?
I was 28. I wasn't young enough. But I left when it was Kosovo War.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm kind of curious. It seems to me I've talked to a lot of people from that general area of the world throughout Europe there, up through the north and everything. And it seems like a lot of people know how to speak English. Did you speak English when you came here?
Not at all. I didn't know nothing. Not at all. No one single word. I just knew like, hi, bye, how you doing? And that's it.
Well, that's more than what a lot of Americans can speak. So that's the joke in England. They say Americans haven't spoken English in years. But that's quite the challenge to come over to a country and not be able to speak at all the language. That's quite the challenge. Now your sister is Bobby, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you guys come over together, or did you come over at separate times? I know she's in London right now. So as far as you guys just leaving, did you guys leave at about the same time, or how did that work?
We did not. So Bobby was working as a journalist, and she met her husband in there. He was working for British governor.
Okay.
So they moved in Anguilla because was his next job. As the summer came, it was the first time for Bobby to go so far away from home, and she left. They were living in Anguilla, British Island.
Okay.
So she missed the home, and because it was summer vacation, my mom said go and visit her, and I was like, no, Bruna can go, the second sister, but she was doing the internship for doctors, so I went to visit her in Anguilla. So I didn't know, I was not any need for English, because she was Albanian and my sister. But this is how I arrived. But I knew Italian very good and French.
Okay.
So there are a lot of foreigners there and tourists.
Sure. You said in your bio there that the desire to help others has always been like a part of you. You've had that from a very early age. Is that something that is instilled in you as part of the culture you're from, or do you just think that you, for whatever reason, you were born that way?
Well, I can separate in two parts. Part one, I always have been really nurturing and caring, maybe because I was the oldest of the sister, and because of a lot of hardship in my house. I lost 3 brothers, and so I was the oldest out of 6 after when they parted way. But with that, I have 2 younger sisters, and was too much for my parents too. So you grow up before you think, and I always wanted to write and read, and I have a gift, like I always have been very intuitive and connected with angels. So I think I was put in here just to serve others, but in a different way,
Yeah. Well, that's a really beautiful way to feel about your existence and your place in the world. That's absolutely fantastic. You were drawn to the sciences, biology and chemistry. Is that why did you choose those? It seems like the sciences; those are particularly tough topics. I studied chemistry, and in my case, physics. There's a lot of math, a lot of balancing equations. Is that just something you like to do?
No, it wasn't my first choice. I used to like to read a lot, and write a lot of poetry. So in high school, I was like a star student. I was used to write and do theater, and my poetries always were like featured in the school poetry side. So so we didn't decide to go in school, correct? I was the first one to go in college from my family.
Okay.
And I went in school for literacy, in Albanian literacy. So they switched my school. Was a doctor's daughter. She didn't have all the grades to get the school, so they switched the school for me. And I was really, really brokenhearted. I was sad. I was crying. But my mother took me on the side and said, Donika, honey, God never make mistakes. Maybe it's a reason you don't see now, but it will come a time, then you go and appreciate and say thank you. And it did. When I came in America, if I didn't have science, I never could be a teacher. I had to go in school from the beginning. But because science is international, I just did what I have to do, to get like a test here to get the license locally.
Yeah. So now that you've worked in it for a long time, do you find science interesting? Have you gotten more of a love of it as you've learned it?
Oh, I loved it. You know what, Billy? I think God, as my mom said, doesn't make mistake. When I start biology, because I'm so in tune with people's energy and feeling, and that, the empathy. And I was so drawn to learn about body and body organs and how they are connected, and energy, and with physics and chemistry, that it served me to open mindfulness with a purpose, because I was like, oh my God, I studied the brain, I studied the heart, I studied the
Yeah.
organ, everything. And he was like, God prepared me when I was 18 for something to use at age 40. Isn't that funny?
Yes. Well, no, that's absolutely fantastic. And I can tell you're so enthusiastic about it. Now you have a lot of disciplines, I guess is the right word. You also have discovered meditation and yoga. When did that start to get on your radar? Did that come in like as you get all busy with studying and you can get like in over your head? Oh my God, what am I going to do about all these tests? Is that when it came in, or when did the meditation start to work for you?
So I didn't know much about meditation. It started 15 years ago when I got
Mhm.
divorced. And
Okay.
I just, it was a very tough time of my life. My daughter was only 7, and I was the first person to get divorced in the family. But
Hmm.
my parents helped me and support me. So I was scrolling through, was no so much Google search and YouTube at the same time, but I was searching to find something to heal me, and I discovered the meditation. So
Hmm.
down the road, I dated a guy that was such a wonderful young man, and he was so much into Buddha, meditation, and yoga. And his mom have taught him, and they did it that. So when he said yoga, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that
Yeah.
because it's not for me. He said, start one step at a time, one breath at a time, and it's going to help. This is why I use that's, I always say one breath at a time, one step at a time, and you can reach. So with this guy, like we did hot yoga and all kind of yoga and meditation, and he gave me the first book about Buddha, and I read that book so fast. So he changed the course of my life, and
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I really like the way things have unfolded, with how you got involved with the sciences, and that turned out to be a good thing for you. And then you have this energy about you. And I always say that when you're in one of the spaces, and we'll tell the audience what that is here in just a moment, if they don't know, but when you're in one of those spaces online, you sort of light up the room. Your energy just comes across, and you've managed to incorporate that with the discipline of meditation and other things. That's a really good progression. And I'm sure you must say there's a plan for that, that seems like it's unfolded for you very well.
So after the divorce was like the night was really hard for me. So I was working as a teacher and coming at home. I have to take care of my daughter, but I didn't have much. So the only thing I was like, I was take short breath, I couldn't sleep. So
Yeah.
I just I discovered then just when I sit down in the silence and I close my eyes and I start meditating and I just put my hands in my heart, that I felt this warmth. And the same time, my daughter was sleeping with me, and when she was next to me, I could feel her breath, how in peace she was and serenity. And
Hmm.
I was like, I'm giving peace and serenity to one person next to me. Why can't I do that for myself? And
Yeah.
that's all I start doing. And I was like, I was aware that is another way to do it if we don't stay in that worry state and fear and anxiety. So the breathing was big thing for me. And we walk every single day. As soon as I came from work, we had an ice cream shop. I didn't have much money when I got divorced. So we used to do one window shopping. We become
Yeah.
friends with the people at the shop. They used to give my daughter always free ice cream. And they
Hmm.
used to make chocolate covered strawberry. And we used to find joy in small things, taking that walk, looking around, breathing, laughing. And I saw these little things. I was like, wow, it is so easy. We look for big things and, but
Hmm.
everything, the silence and the peace is around us if we just ground ourselves and look for.
Yes. Great message. That's such a, like I said, the way you apply your knowledge and your philosophy to your positivity is very inspiring, and that's something I probably need to incorporate into myself. I mentioned Twitter Spaces, and just to give the audience a very brief synopsis of what that is, it's pretty much like an audio forum online. social audio started to become pretty popular during the pandemic, and they're basically just audio spaces, just as the word says. There's Clubhouse, and there's a number of them, so people can just gather in these audio spaces and talk about certain things. You can have a host, you can have a couple co-hosts, guest speakers, and of course, the audience can listen, and the audience can be very big at times. You've been I'm going to say, very active in utilizing these new technologies. It's funny to me how some people just jump on those things and know how to get the most out of them, and you have done that. How has that worked for you? Is that just utilizing technology in that way? Has that just come natural for you? And how beneficial has Twitter and all those things been for you?
So when my sister invited me, Bobby, because she's the queen of social media in there,
Yeah,
and Twitter.
yeah,
When I used to be in Clubhouse, and she said,
yeah.
"Come into Twitter space is new, and Donna, you have so many things to offer." And I was like, "Oh, I'm comfortable in here." She was like, "No, people will need it. You can stay in both platforms." So being an educator, being a teacher, you have to be organized. And I'm very, very organized. And,
Hmm.
during the years of teaching, I've been really successful with the student teaching biology, chemistry, science. But the last year I was mindfulness coach and emotional and social coach. So incorporating all of that. And I was like, oh, hold on, what you need to do is like welcome the people in the space, be prepared what you want to teach. And I always do like ice breaking, breathing, tapping, meditation, positive affirmation, because these are things that I always use. And just teaching, then everything starts in your mind. If you know how to talk to your mind and accept
Hmm.
it and tune in your heart, and bring that peace and serenity and say, I'm okay where I am. What can I do today to improve my health and wellness and to bring more joy and excitement? And that's all I do, because life is not always happy. Life is yo-yo, because you have to learn the good, the bad, the ugly, to build the
Yep.
strength and wisdom. So that's all I do. What I do in my life, I'm just bringing in the space. And this is why it comes so easy and naturally.
Yeah. It does come very easily and naturally for you, as I've said before. It's interesting because I have a cousin who became a doctor, and she subsequently ended up teaching. And she told me one time that it was frustrating because she knew sometimes the students that had the best grades weren't necessarily going to be the best doctors because they weren't natural healers.
Mhm.
And I got to tell you, there's a lot of people online who say the same words in terms of affirmations and meditation and other things, but they just don't seem to have the same effect as you do when you talk about it. And I really think that's because of, and I'm not trying to flatter you, but you just have this energy and you have this presence of spirit, I guess is a good word, that really
Correct.
touches the audience. And that's a very powerful tool. So I congratulate, I see, I don't have that. People have to get used to me. But you have that that spark that can really motivate people, and I say that sincerely. You really have that gift.
So thank you so much for thinking of so highly of me. You know what? I think then God put me in this position because uh, it's not that I wanted to be better than anybody, but I was in a healing journey.
Yeah.
And it was very, very hard, Billy. I didn't know what was happening with me because the messages were coming so clear for me. I was channeling the message, I saw the things, I delivered the things, but I didn't know how to protect myself, because
Yeah.
not everybody then you are open to help is a receiver, is a giver. They
Yeah.
just take and you are high and dry. So spiritual journey is a long journey, because you have to go through all the steps, like
Hmm.
the pain and the grief and acceptance and void then is in there, and again is like you undermine yourself. Oh my God, what am I doing? Am I good enough? But at the end of that journey,
Hmm.
this is the power. You become that healer. you connect with people's energy. I sit down next to you, I can read you, I can feel what you're doing, and that's all. You understand the one that they really do it and just want to empower people and just see the good in people.
Yeah. You are on Twitter at Donika_Gunther. And for those listening, that's where you can be found. Is there any other places that we can tell the audience about where you can be found?
Yes, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I have to be more active in YouTube, but I have some videos. But in Facebook, if you go on Facebook, donikagunther.com, under the life coach, I have all the videos, 21-day video for healing chakras and all of that, and all the Twitter spaces that I've been doing for the past year. So much wisdom and, things that you can use for yourself. And that's all I can think, like almost every platform.
Yeah, that's good. I want to ask you, because you talk about a journey. And a lot of times when people are in that place, when they've gone through something like a divorce even something like losing a job that has meant so much to them. And all of a sudden you're faced with a new set of problems. You're faced with a different plan ahead of you. And one of my favorite quotes is from Mike Tyson. He said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right? So when you get punched in the face and you got to start over, and it seems like the world is crashing down, you talked about you just don't know where to turn. What's the first step? How do you get control of all those wild emotions?
So, matter of fact, my school, then I was working in middle of nowhere in January. They say that we're going to close this school and it's going to close down in June. And I was like, right there in that moment, I was like, oh no, the school is going to close end of the March, and I can feel it. And I saw everything, and I was like, okay, Donika, don't get discouraged, don't get scared. You have the experience first, you have connection, and create that resume, put the experience, and just put the desire, make people believe that you really want this job. Yeah. You really are the right candidate for that job, and go. So as soon as they said the school is going to be closed, I put my resume in Indeed, in any site. And people were calling all the time because the resume is good. I have the experience. And they were like, we want that. But I picked the school. I already started the new job last week. I picked the school, then I know that they go and gain some values from my own experience. But at the same time, I just love that group age, 6th grade, I'm back to science teaching. So never be discouraged, because you know what? My mom used to say that you make plans during the day, but God is laughing to you because you already have signed your day. So just surrender, say, God, what is in for me today? Guide me, protect me, show me the way, and bring the right resources, right people, and believe it in your heart. Then He's coming, He's happening already. Yeah. Don't do if or.
Yeah, if, that's good. I like that. No ifs or ors. Okay.
No ifs. Yes.
That's awesome. When you're starting your, let me make sure I have the name correctful here. Your business.
Mindfulness with a purpose.
Mindfulness with a purpose. Okay, I wasn't sure I had it correct. Tell me a little bit about that, and what do you do for people, and how can they find out more about it?
Correct. So how did it start? It was, I never thought that I'm going to open my business so quick. So my sister Brunilda, she's a doctor. She was invited in this Global Woman in New York. And she came from Albania. She said, Donna, I have ticket for you. I said, what I'm going to do? I'm a teacher. She was like, no, you're helping kids and you're doing meditation, mindfulness. Come and watch. So when I go there, it was 3-day summit, and it was Bill Walsh, was Les Brown, Sonia Striblin, which she became my first coach, Mirella Sula, and so many other speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And Chantella Richardson, she's my good friend in Chicago. She's the director of Global of Chicago. So as soon as I went there, I listened to everybody and I felt I belong in here. I have something to share too. These people are sharing their story. And because I was in that situation, then I wanted to understand who I really was and if I have more inside me that needed to be unfolded.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I'm going to call mindfulness because everything is in the mind. Whenever we plant, it grows. And what is my purpose? To help women that are going through pain and suffering, divorce, losing a job, losing going loss and grief, and how to find these tools and techniques and resources and that platform, then they can find some healing, can find some, the hope and courage and connect with each others.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, let's open. And this is how I started. I came back within a month, was March 29, was 5 years ago. I was like, I'm going to start this business, but I already have started like 9 years when I opened mindfulness for the kids.
Okay.
But this is how it become like official,
Sure.
official. And this is, I never stop, never look back, and have been a joy.
Yeah. Mindfulness with a Purpose is the name of it. Now, is there you did mention a website. Is there a website for it?
DonikaGunther.com.
Okay. And that's where the people can find about Mindfulness with a Purpose.
Correct. And if they want to DM me or write anything, my email is coachdonika@gmail.com.
Yeah. One of the things that I've heard, this is a good saying, and I want you to comment about this. A goal without a plan is just a dream. Have you heard that before?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Is that something that you kind of believe? Is that true?
So it's like having a seed and not planting in the ground. It's going to be always a seed in your hand. But when you plant that seed in the ground, it's going to become a tree and you're going to see the fruits no matter of what.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I say. Always have that goal in your mind, but manifest it, visualize, write it down, and create a plan and said, I am scared. I don't know where I'm going, but I have this goal. I have this vision. I'm going to manifest. I'm going to release to the universe. And if I collaborate and ask for help, it's going to happen. I have a lot of support. I ask all my friends, hey, I want to open business. Oh my God, do it. We're going to support you. You have to have that support team. If you don't have a tribe, you're going to be that seed. But if you have a tribe, you're going to be the tree. Then they're going to share your fruits with others.
Yeah. That's great advice. And you have such a, when I say the word mindfulness, let me ask you that before I let you go. What exactly, how would you describe mindfulness? To me, it means being aware of your existence, being aware of the impact that your existence is having on others. Is that a good way to describe it? How would you describe mindfulness?
Everything that you do, you accept it.
Mm-hmm.
And you in the present moment. The past is gone. The present is, you don't know. But you know that for 24 hours, everything that you do exists, is present, is here, is now. So what you do with the 24 hours is what you're going to see the next 24 hours. Start with a breath, start with a prayer, start with gratitude and kindness, because when you do that, you bring positive energy and vibration, and you are mindful of your time, of your purpose, and how to serve others. And that is mindfulness for me.
If you enjoy this type of content, if this is something that can inspire you, you really need to search out Donika online. And probably the easiest place to start, especially if you're on Twitter, is at Donika_Gunther. And she does do the Twitter Spaces quite often. Do you have a regular schedule for the Spaces? Are they on a certain time of the week, or should people just follow you for the next one?
Is every single Monday at 5 o'clock EST time, and it's tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Very good. And that's Mondays in general at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Awesome. People, like I said, you have this effect on people. You have this positive energy about you, and I'm so glad that you could, put that together in a way. You have a system now of helping others. That's absolutely fantastic, Donika, and I really appreciate you talking with us today.
Thank you so much, Billy, for having me. You know how much I admire your work and what you do for people. Thank you for serving others. And you know what? We are here just to bring the awareness and bring the tools and techniques that can help others. You do this every day, just like we do. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. Once again, Donika Gunther. You can find her a number of different places on social media, and the website is donikagunther.com, correct?
Correct.
All right. Thank you very much. And do check her out on Twitter. Thank you so much for being on, Donika. It's been a joy, just like I knew it would be.
Love and light. Thank you.
All right, very good. At Donika_Gunther on Twitter. And you can also follow me if you like on Twitter at Billy D's. That's kind of like my social media home. I'm on other platforms as well. I use either Billy D's or the Billy D's podcast. There's no variations on my screen names. So do check me out. If you like, you can follow me, tweet me, just be nice. That's what I tell people. They don't listen a lot of times, but you just be nice. You can tweet me anytime. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast today. And I will talk to you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Billy Dees and host of the self-titled podcast, The Billy Dees Podcast. We are primarily an interview and a commentary-based podcast featuring authors and creators talking about their craft, advocates for community issues, and myself and an array of co-hosts discussing current events. There's no partisan ranting and raving going on here, just great content. You can find The Billy Dees Podcast on your favorite platform and on Twitter at Billy Dees. Thank you, and I hope you listen in.